Hello drivers! In today's video I wanted to give you my opinion on my favorite game mode of Motorfest and analyze the elements that could be improved, in line with Ivory Tower's goal to support the game for years to come with quality of life updates. The improvement must work on the three pillars of our online game mode: communication, information and replayability. First of all, let me briefly explain why I like Demolition Royale the most in the Crew Motorfest, and as a driver fan, it is both the goal and the physics adaptation that make it stand from the rest. In fact, it is the only game mode in Motorfest where the chase is at the center of the experience. It is not about racing, going from point A to point B, doing stunts, drifting, jumping in a legitimate height or whatever. It is about chasing or being chased. This is why Demolition Royale sells itself to me, because I find it far more entertaining and replayable than any of the other modes Motorfest has to offer. In the game's next seasons of content, it looks like car chases will return to the playlist section of the game with the new Chase Squad, which also bring dynamic chase mode. But from the gameplay that was shown, I'm not sure I will enjoy it as much as I did in Demolition Royale because of the second important part of the experience: collisions and physics. In fact, if you compare a lobby of Demolition Royale with one of Grand Race, you will immediately understand the problem with the physics. Even if you are playing with big monster truck, the collisions are almost non-existent and the damage physics are invisible. Even if Demolition Royale does not reach the quality levels of the driver series, it is still miles ahead in terms of basic gameplay. This is partly due to the licensing of real cars, which is why I'm afraid Chase Squad will be closer to the Grand Race experience than Demolition Royale. Anyway, now that I've explained the two components that make the experience better for me, let's move on to the elements that still need improvement to take Demolition Royale to the next level. As you will notice, I've kept my expectations relatively low by highlighting things that I think could be improved without too much change, and that fall under the broad heading of quality of life improvements. Ping! You start Demolition Royale with a plane sequence, just like any battle royale. The differences are that you can steer the plane, but it's like flying with a parachute in other games, and the squad spawn at different ends of the arena, but you are always used with your teammates. The problem, which will be a recurring one, is that you can't ping the map where you want to drop. So, if you are playing with another player as I am, you are going to have a difficult time at the start, as your mate might be attracted to the nearest set of power-ups tokens, which are also close to another team. After that, the lack of ping will also reduce the ability to regroup with your team if drops or car fights have spread your team across the map. Quick shot. It is in the same category of problem as ping, and by that I mean the lack of communication with your teammates. Beyond the ping, it will be great to be able to share our next actions and coordinate as a team. Regroup, fight, escape, find power-ups, use your ultimate. It could work like in Rocket League with the arrows of the controller or similar inputs. I think it will limit the case of playing Demolition Royale, and 2 minutes in you are already the last car standing in your team, which greatly reduces your chance of winning the final battle or even surviving until the last zone. The closest thing we have to a quick shot are the emotes, but they don't really convey any instructions that might be useful with random players. Furthermore, the emotes are visible to everyone on the map, so your position can be seen from afar, which is not great if you are planning a discrete strategy to get to the end. Little side note, XDefiant, another Ubisoft game, just got a new quick chat feature in its Season 2 update, which is a nice addition and shows that it is possible to add this after launch. The minimap. Oddly enough, you cannot expand the map, and you are limited to the map in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. As in any battle royale, the area shrinks 2 times during the game. You won't know where it shrinks unless you can see the new radius on your minimap. If you are far from it, because you don't see it, you will have to wander around to find it or die in the zone if you are too far away. Given the lack of communication, with no ping and no quick chat, it's clearly a lack of information in the case of the lack of map expansion. Variety. Finally, even if the previous problems were solved, I feel that Demolition Royale would lack replayability because the game has never received any content updates since its release. For example, more cars, both basic and ultimate cars, will be great since you only have 2 regular car types and 1 ultimate. A new ultimate will need to have pros and cons to balance it out, of course. Power-ups are still the same 4 tokens for armor, strength, repair and ultimate refill, so perhaps a token for speed, turn radius or jump could be added. The tokens are always visible to everyone, so perhaps the introduction of hidden loot will bring the experience closer to classic battle royale and a reward exploration at the start of a game. Perhaps a weapon mechanic could be introduced, but that might take too much away from the experience. Therefore, my final wish will be to have mutations in the vein of what Left 4 Dead 2 did by having temporary game modes that make changes to an element of gameplay to provide more variation. For example, why not have a Demolition Royale game that forces everyone to use the cockpit view? I love that view, but it is harder to play with than third person, so I never use it in Demolition Royale, which would be different if everyone else was using it. In the same vein, a game where you have your ultimate vehicle all the time, a game where your car is slowly repaired even if you don't use tokens. The list can be extended for sure. If you have a suggestion, please share it in the comments. Thank you for watching my analysis and discussion on how to improve the already best game mode, The Crew Motorfest. Ivory Tower, please consider them and keep working on Demolition Derby or Demolition Royale. Thanks to my viewers for supporting the channel, driverdimension.com, French Contact, Neurosyn, Taken on YouTube, Paul Lanois, Mute, David Autosport, Denis Frontier, Joshua Badger, and Olanov. You can join the club by clicking on the blue button below the video. And in any case, see you soon, drivers.